Botnets very frequently feature in distributed denial of service attacks. And it makes sense because it gives the attacker a way of leveraging their attack by using infected machines to multiply the effectiveness of their denial of service efforts. I want to run through just a really basic overview of a botnet because we are going to come back and talk about them at multiple other points throughout this module. So here's the way a typical botnet is put together. So we have an attacker, and often when we talk about botnets, the attacker may also be referred to as a bot herder. So this is the person who is responsible for corralling all of these infected machines that form part of the botnet. Now the attacker communicates with a control server. And a control server is also often referred to as a command and control or C&C server. And this is the point which is going to do all the orchestration of the individual infected machines that run in the botnet. So the C&C server is a really critical part of the infrastructure. Now in large botnets there may well be multiple C&C servers. One of the reasons for this is that it gives the attacker some redundancy. If one C&C server gets taken down, say by law enforcement, there are others which may still run and issue commands to the machines in the botnet. But for the sake of simplicity, let's represent it as a single environment here. Now the real key to the botnet is that that control server is then going to coordinate the zombies. And the zombies are the individual infected machines in the botnet. You may also see these called slaves at times. And what we're really talking about here is otherwise legitimate machines. So for example, PCs, possibly like the one you're watching this course on right now, that have been infected with malware and are now taking instructions from the control server. It's not always just PCs. We see servers become infected and form part of a botnet as well. And in fact, servers can be enormously useful to the bot herder because they tend to have very high levels of uptime and very good connectivity as well. And really, this is what the attacker wants. They want to have big pipes from these zombies in their botnet so that each one can then launch attacks. And again, keep in mind, these are otherwise legitimate PCs, servers used by normal everyday people. They've just been infected with malware through one of the usual channels. Perhaps it was a pop-up on a website that enticed them to run an executable, or it might have been delivered by email or spread on a USB stick. There are many different ways that machines get infected with malware. Now, large botnets can have hundreds of thousands, even millions of infected machines. Think about that for scale, millions of machines, all under the control of this one attacker. These machines are typically used to do things like send spam. We've seen individual botnets send tens of billions of spam emails every single day. But to bring this back around to distributed denial of service, imagine you have millions of machines in your botnet. If you could orchestrate those millions to make requests to a target website simultaneously, that's a huge amount of volume coming from all corners of the world as well. A large-scale botnet, even a botnet numbering in the mere tens of thousands, can be enormously effective at taking down target websites. So many of the examples we're going to look at in this module are executed via botnets. We're going to look at the individual attack styles that are used to maximize the damage on target environments. But very frequently, those patterns then get distributed out to these zombie machines. So with that understood, let's now move on and start looking at very specific denial of service attacks. And I want to start with HTTP flood attacks.